let's get started. This is a game that I found on Steam called Shotgun King, and it essentially plays the same as chess, except you have none of your pieces. The Black King had been an extravagant and otherwise unpleasant ruler. As the years went by, more and more of his subjects were won over by the White King, who offered higher wages and genuinely decent work. And then they took his castle. His knights resigned from service. Even his wife, the Queen, had abandoned him. Before leaving, the last Black Bishop came to the Black King and told him, "Thou hast been a bad king, yet thine reign is still holy. Thou shalt retain a claim over thine former subject souls, and we may have yet cause to fear thine wrath. Thus heed my warning. The wrath of a man, as godly as he might be, is ever his undoing." But the Black King was abandoned by all. With not a rook left to his name, all he had left was his prized royal shotgun, the shreds of his dignity, and the growing fires of his prophesied wrath. Ever my undoing, was it? Undone! Just what more exactly could I lose? In his dark folly, the king loaded his shotgun and went to meet his final checkmate. And I believe I have the default shotgun right now. And he moves the same way as a normal king, but when you approach the pieces, you find that you cannot capture them, but instead must blast them off the board with a shotgun, right? Now, I'm not gonna go too deep into the weeds about strategy. I'm still decently new to the game. I've beaten it a couple times, and yeah, that was it. All you had to do was kill the king, but obviously you have a few obstacles in the way. Now, after every round, floors they're called, you have a choice, and this is between two upgrades and downgrades, and you don't really have a choice on what you get. Holy Gunpowder, +1 firepower. The firepower it's the amount of pellets you shoot from your shotgun, I believe. Peace, remove 1 knight, add 2 bishops. Kingly Alms, +2 grenades. Right click to throw a grenade. Last I remember, these grenades weren't very powerful, but they did the job. Karma, fire arc +30 degrees on black squares. That may not seem like a big difference, but that is tremendous when you're trying to do a long-range shot. And then you just have -1 firepower on white squares, which is also a pretty big difference right now, but as you progress, you tend to have very, very high firepower. So I'm gonna go with the Holy Gunpowder, since the downside is not that bad. And here we have, since we have no knight, we have 3 bishops, 2 light squared ones. So honestly, early on, most of the pieces are just going to be in the way. For the opponent, I should say. Now, as you can see, I cannot take these pieces, but for the sake of demonstration, I'm not going to shoot them. I am going to show how the souls work. Since I just used a knight soul, I can move like a knight does. 2 squares in one direction, and then 1 square in the other. So, as an L would. 1, 2, and then 1. And there is an upgrade later on that would allow me to go 1 extra square, but since I don't have that, it acted as a turn. Now, oops, unlike normal chess, none of the pieces move one at a time. Instead, they move based off of this timer that is right under the demonstration of movement and health. And that timer shows how many moves you have left until they move. Extra barrel, fire arc plus 7 degrees, charge 1 additional shell into your shotgun. Undead armies. Pawns, minus 1 HP. Replace knights, rooks, and bishops with a pawn after they die. As significant as that sounds, that really makes very little difference if you're in a massive king hunt and you're just running to the other side of the board. Cannon fodder. Use pawn souls to gain plus 2 firepower on your next shot. Throne room. King, plus 2 HP. Queen, plus 1 HP. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this. The extra barrel doesn't really appeal to me very much unless I'm trying to unlock a shotgun. So here I'm gonna use the bishop soul, and I'm gonna get as close to the king as I can. So let's get rid of as many of these as I can. And here we see that the white bishop is moving backwards to attack me, so I have to move. From what I've found, this AI actually plays quite well. It makes very few mistakes, and the ones that it does make aren't necessarily tremendous. But they're pretty major since we have a shotgun. Ritual dagger. Minus 1 fire range. Blade. Plus 1. King, minus 2 HP. Homecoming. You can't escape her. She's everywhere. Plus 1 queen. And then Crow's Blessing is plus 2 fire range. I don't really use Blade that often in most of my runs, because it's just not very useful. It doesn't do much damage, and when it is useful, you still have to get really close. And it's kind of, bad at just killing the king. So we're gonna go with Crow's Blessing. So, once again, we're gonna use this Bishop's Soul. Gonna go here. And then, if I were to have somehow killed this pawn, the queen would instantaneously make me lose the game. So now we're being attacked by the queen. Going straight down. So I'm gonna go here. The bishop is attacking me, so let's go down, and then get rid of that. Now, my firepower would be enough to deal significant damage, but this range is very inconvenient, right? I'm gonna do it anyway. Over here. Now, you may notice that none of my pellets are going through enemies. They're always hitting and then disappearing. That is because later on, there are upgrades that allow you to get more pierce. And that can be extremely useful on high firepower builds. Now, you may have noticed that I was wasting moves there, not trying to get closer to the king. That's because I had no ammo up here. And what that means is that I obviously can't shoot the shotgun. So by moving without reloading or without shooting, I gain 1 ammo. Now, on the next move, it forces you to reload, so you won't gain any more ammo. So, you gain 1 ammo, then it forces you to reload, then you gain another, then it forces you to reload, and that continues until all of these pellets next to the shotgun are full, and then it fills your reserve. Arraign Belt. Plus 3 ammo max. Backups. Add 3 pawns. because of how much I genuinely don't like Karma, I'm not going to go for Unholy Call. Normally I would, because it can be farmed out really quickly if you have them close enough. But what it will do is it adds 3 pentagrams to to one of the 64 squares. And upon reaching all 3 pentagrams, you will gain +2 firepower. And you can stack this multiple times. So you can just keep going in loops, going to your pentagrams, and gaining +2 firepower. But it's pretty impractical because of the fire arc and the firepower decrease on Karma. So I'm going to go with a rain belt. Now we have 7 pawns, 3 bishops, a queen, and a king. And I'm still going to be using this bishop soul to get as close to the king as I can. Now notice how whenever you shoot a piece, even though it's threatening you, as long as you can kill that piece, it will not attack you. So now I just used a pawn soul thanks to cannon fodder, and that gave me +2 to this firepower. So since this queen is attacking these light square diagonals, I'm going to go here, destroy the pawn. Now the queen is threatening me, and the bishop. So I'm going to go here, use a pawn soul, which does not use a turn, down here. So now I can shoot the queen with a pretty decent chance of killing it. Yeah. Now I have a queen soul. And as you probably guessed, it lets me move as a queen. Gotta get rid of those bishops, they're getting pretty annoying. Speak of the devil himself. Doink. And from here on out, it gets pretty easy as soon as you get rid of most of the pieces. Now, if you kill the king, and there are still pieces on the board, the pieces are smitten and leaves the board. I think that's already been demonstrated, but in case if you haven't picked that up yet. Blunderbuss. Fire arc plus 30 degrees, plus 2 firepower. And then we have the King's Mistress. Add 1 queen, but the queen's moves are limited to 3 squares. Now, this movement is not limited by turns, but it is extremely impractical, or not impractical, but annoying, because we still have 2 queens, right? Now, instead, I'm going to go for the Iron Maiden. Now, the queen can't die, but it loses to speed, and that can make a huge difference if you have it trapped, say in the corner of the board, and you're in the other corner, and you can just get rid of the king pretty quickly. So I'm going to go for this. And as you notice, I have 2 Arraign belt cards. Now, these do stack, and I have now +6 ammo. Super helpful. So I'm going to use this Queen Soul, get rid of the pawn. Get rid of the pawn. Use a Pawn Soul. I'm going to spend a turn to reload, but not move by pressing space. And then I'm going to unload on the king. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Yeah. So now I'm going to use another Pawn Soul. I thought I was trapped there. No. By pressing right click, it undoes that. I don't know how that happened. I really should have hit the king at least once on that, but, you know, that's the way it is. That was kind of scary. I thought the queen was right about to kill me, but whatever, we made it. I actually haven't seen this downside before. The blunderbuss I explained last game. Add 1 pawn. Jesters can move diagonally and have +2 speed. Jesters pass the hat when they die. That's kind of weird. So when they take, they move 1 square diagonally, right? Let's see. And that's the pawn jester right here. Yeah, okay. Okay, so it can move forward or diagonally, I believe. But it doesn't matter because I'm getting rid of them. Now, notice that when I use a pawn soul and then I reload, it doesn't get rid of the pawn soul. That's because I haven't shot yet. So it's pretty helpful to just get rid of as many of the pieces as you can in front of the king. And we've won. Alright. Elite Gem. +1 ammo regeneration. +1 fire range. Cardinal. Remove 1 pawn, add 1 bishop, and -1 ammo max. Rightful Curtsy. +1 ammo max. 50% chance to knock back enemy. +1 pawn. Pawns can move 2 squares on their first move. So they just follow regular chess moves, except for the pawn jester. Now, I'm going to pick this one, and this may seem as a illogical move, which it kind of is, but I'm trying to upgrade my knockback to get another shotgun in the game that you unlock by getting 100% knockback. Otherwise, I would have chosen the Elite Gem. So, as you have now noticed, the board continues to fill up with pieces, even though we've technically reached the max amount of pawns. This is because Shotgun King does not care about your feelings. It doesn't really care about the rules, and it seeks to break them, whether you like it or not. Let's reload. I didn't really notice, but my power has reached 7 baseline, which is insanely high. For a baseline, I should say. Oops. Now, I believe the Iron Maiden just tanks the damage. Yeah, it just tanks the damage. So, it doesn't take damage, but rather it absorbs it. And I've been checkmated, technically. So yeah, no, I've just lost. There's nothing I could do, so the queen can take me. And even though it wasn't the queen's move, I don't believe, it can still attack me. But I think I'm going to end this video here. I hope this served as a pretty decent introduction to your guys' experience to this channel and the game. And go check it out. I think it's only about $10 on Steam. It's pretty well worth it. There's also an endless mode after you beat the campaign. The campaign is 12 floors, and there are 5 shotguns to be unlocked. Well, that's including the default shotgun. But, thank you for watching. Click the like button if you liked it, and I'll see you next time.